Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva,
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
and welcome to the SnobOS Show, the show for Apple snobs where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the SnobOS Show. We definitely want to thank you for tuning in this week. If you want to support our show, and if you're already supporting our show, you can head on over to patreon.com/snoboscast to watch our show live and not or and get exclusive content. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this week's show. We'll start with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. All right, first up on the docket, Georgia being on the forefront of some technology. What a shocker. Um,
Mhm.
Last Thursday, the Department of Driver Services for Georgia announced that they have now implemented digital driver's license for iPhone users, which is in your Apple Wallet. When I saw this, I saw it randomly on Twitter from one of the local news outlets, and I texted Terrence. I was like, "Did you see this? Had you heard about this?"
Mhm.
And, I went ahead and did it. It took a few minutes to set it up,
Mhm.
and it was pretty seamless, but I hit a little hiccup where I had to get something in the mail. I initially thought it was something on the, Georgia side of things, the Georgia government side of things, but it actually was not. I have some enhanced, security measures on my, ID. So that led me to have to get an additional way to verify my identity. So what that I did on Thursday, I actually got the ID card, the confirmation number today. Typed that in, and the ID showed up in seconds. So I guess, Terrence, what was your experience like with this digital driver's license before we get into the details of what you can actually do with this digital license?
It took me 5 minutes. Basically, what you do is, you add a new card to the wallet, and like I said, for Georgia, the option to add a Georgia ID showed up. It had me do some extra Face ID stuff, like turn my head to the right, turn my head to the left, open my mouth, which is weird, but anyway.
I didn't get the open mouth thing.
I had to slowly open my mouth until my phone vibrated, and I had to turn my head a little bit to the left, a bit to the right, and I think it was something else I had to do, but it's all doing Face
Oh.
ID using the front, camera on
Mhm.
my, iPhone 14. Did those things, thought about it for a couple minutes. Of course, I had to scan the front and the back of my, driver's license. Once it
Mhm.
selected those, I did the Face ID stuff. In a matter of minutes, my Georgia ID showed up in my Apple Wallet. So nice little victory. But like you said, we'll get into what you can actually do with it, which ain't a lot right now.
Not a whole lot. And speaking of what you can do, it's important to note that on the website for the digital ID, the state makes sure to specifically call out that this is not a replacement for your physical copy. So
Right.
it's great to have the digital copy on your phone, but make sure you keep your physical copy with you. And again, because Black, um, you want to certainly make sure if you can use the ID at TSA, which is
Right.
one of the places that you can use it, and that's
Right.
good because when you go to the airport, whenever you scan your boarding pass, TSA
Hmm.
never touches your phone. You're the one that has to put your phone on top of the scanner, so
Hmm.
that's great. So, say if you got pulled over by a police officer, you
Right.
wouldn't want to hand over your unlocked phone.
Right.
No, that
All
would be
right.
the ultimate last resort if you had to do that. So it's important to know that it does not replace your physical driver's license, but it does make it easier to get through um, some places, specifically the airport.
Right.
My expectation is the more people get accustomed to using digital forms of identification, there will be more
Hmm.
use cases because, again, there are only 4 states in the whole country that have the capability for digital ID, with Georgia being the fourth. So I think it's
Mhm.
Arizona, Maryland,
Colorado.
Georgia, and Colorado.
Mhm.
So again, it's not widely adopted, which is when we first talked about this, when I saw Georgia was on the list, I was a bit shocked because we're not usually on the forefront of technological advances or early
Right.
adopters. So that I was pretty surprised by it. But we do have it, and again, um, there are very limited use cases for this, but it's great to have it if it's something that you're into. We're both techies. I try not to have to use paper if I don't have to. So this is ideal for me. Um, so yeah. So Terrence walked through basically how to add it, which is a really simple process. I didn't have the mouth opening thing. I just had the, turn your face left and right and like do the circle for it to vibrate, but I didn't get the mouth thing. Um,
So in my opinion, the reason why it makes sense for Georgia to do this is because our airport is an international airport, is a super
Busiest
busy
airport in the
airport.
world. Yeah.
It's one of the biggest, one of the heaviest traveled. So any way that they can make things move faster, you're guaranteed to have your phone on you. You're not
Yeah.
guaranteed to have your boarding pass. You got to jump through all these hoops to get it, yada yada yada. But you're going to have your phone on you, right? So the
Mhm.
ability for you to be able to take your phone, and you don't even have to. What I thought was pretty slick is you don't even have to open up. Like, say for instance, I want to pay for something at a store.
Mhm.
If I want to pay for something, I have to open up the wallet app. I have to scan through, flip through, and select the right credit card that I want to pay with, then hold it over the processing thing and then let it process. With this, with your wallet, with the ID on your wallet, and you go through the airport, go to TSA, you don't have to open up the wallet, flip through, and find my ID. All I have to do is unlock my phone and place it over the TSA thing. It's going to find my ID. It's going to recognize that I got an ID on there, and it's going to ask me, "Do you want to share this information?" I click yes, and it goes through, and then TSA does what they even have to do. So I thought that was dope. I don't even have to display my ID before I
Mhm.
scan it. I just have to unlock my phone, put
Okay,
it
unlock
down
your
there.
phone.
It's going to recognize I got the ID on there, confirm that I want to share the information. I do that, right? Another thing that you mentioned about you just don't want to do this if you get pulled over by the police. Well, the police don't even have this technology. The way
Yeah,
in my mind I would imagine it is the police will come up to you with a little
with a
device, kind of
scanner.
like
Yep.
with their own phone or whatever the police officer gives them. I have to take my phone. I don't have to hand it to them. I would have to place my phone on their thing,
Mhm.
confirm that I want to share the information. Then they do whatever they got to do. Police ain't trying to do that. They already got walkie talkies, they got guns, they got ammo, they got mace, they got
Tasers, flashlights.
tasers, flashlights, batons, handcuffs. Last thing police need is another thing that they got to carry around, right? Because what, like you said, with black people, they'll probably mistake the little scanner thing for a
For
gun,
a weapon. Yeah.
for a weapon, and be like, "Oh, I meant to pull out the scanner thing to scan his phone, and I shot him on
And I
accident."
shot it.
Right.
Oopsie,
So
my bad.
so I don't think that just goes into the technology has to be there for
Yeah.
more places to accept an ID. And where would you want you to use your ID? You use it at the airport. You would use it with the police because they first thing they do is ask for ID, but I don't think they're there yet because again,
Yep,
the challenges of police trying to carry more equipment.
yep,
And in places like restaurants, bars, any
yep.
place they serve alcohol, any place you got to be 21 and up
Concert
to get in,
venues. Yep.
and I don't think they're gonna catch up no time soon. So the only logical place right now would be
Is
at
the
an
airport.
airport because it's busy, especially Hartsfield Jackson. Got a lot of people going through there. It's an
And
international
it's federally
airport
funded.
and it's federally funded, customs, all that thing. So it
Yeah.
makes sense to try to move things along a little bit faster.
Start
If
there.
all right, if all I got to do is just put my phone on there, and it's not only got my boarding pass, but it also got my
Nice.
ID. There's
Yeah.
less things to search through, which makes
Yeah.
things go a little bit faster.
And also to note, there is an Apple Watch companion. So it is, if you select it, it is on your Apple Watch as well.
So I couldn't get that to work. I think I forgot to look at the reason why it wouldn't work, but they said something about having more information or something like that. I can't remember what it was. I tried it once and then haven't went back to do it, but I just got the ID on my phone right now.
Let me see if I have it on mine.
So it's like, so unlike a regular credit card, with your iPhone, with your watch, it'll say, "Oh, I see you have this credit card on your phone. Do you want me to add it to your watch as well?" You click yes, you enter your little 3-digit security code, and then boom, it adds it. No, with the ID, from what my experience was, you have to jump through some other hoops, like you're adding another ID all over again, and I think that's where I ran into some issues.
Yeah, and I wanna say I thought when I added it, it asked me if I wanted to do the wallet as if I wanted to do the Apple Watch as well. Maybe it didn't. I could have sworn
It
that it
does ask you that, but then it's not as simple as just adding it. You gotta jump through some additional hoops, like,
okay.
I had to do the face thing all over again, and then it was like, "Nah, not this time, buddy." So, I was like, "Alright,
Hmm.
you know what? Just on the phone, I'm cool with that."
Imma take the win where I can get it.
Right.
Yep. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that is it for the new digital wallet. We'll put the link in the show notes for if you need a refresher on exactly what you need to do to get that on your device. And again, be advised if you do have some additional identity tracking verification stuff, um, you'll likely have to get a confirmation number in the mail to verify your identity. So if it gives you the thing that says, hey, we need more information, that will pop up. And it gives you when you get the paper, even though I already did it, you just log into your account on your driver's license. If you're like me, I do my um car registration, all that stuff online. And so it's all through that same account. And then it'll show up that says, click to confirm and it'll show you, pending confirmation. So it's a whole section is highlighted in orange. So it's like bright, it stands out. And then you just go in there, type in the little code that you get in the mail. And like I said, within seconds, it popped up in my wallet. So just be aware that there may be some extra hoops if you have some additional identity protection things. All right. Next up, Final Cut Pro. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago as it related to an Apple employee getting fired because they were leaking information. But the Final Cut and Logic Pro for iPad has now been released and is available for either a 1 month trial or for purchase. Now, we know, I think most people expect it, you aren't going to get the full capability of Final Cut Pro on your iPad as you would on your Mac. But on this particular article from 9 to 5 Mac, the author, the person who wrote the article, he did try out Final Cut Pro for iPad, and he wasn't too impressed due to some of the limitations. Um, but I think based what he thought, this first foray into it is a good effort. Um, what he said, um, some of the limitations that he wasn't expecting. I think some of the shortcuts because you can connect your iPad to a trackpad and a mouse. Many of
Mhm.
the shortcuts that you have on your MacBook you don't have a lot of those same shortcuts.
Right.
And again, a lot of it I think revolves around just the sheer function of the iPad. Sure, you could use a keyboard, but does everybody have the keyboard? I think they had to design this with the most generic, setup as possible for people who just want to use their iPad. Maybe they don't have a keyboard, maybe they don't have a mouse. So some of the shortcuts, when he connected his keyboard, caused an issue with him. Um, what was the other thing? I think in Final Cut on your Mac, how you can just drag and drop the video that you want to edit into the timeline. He had some
Mhm.
issues with
Well,
the
it ain't
way
no
the drag
issue.
and drop works.
Well, ain't no issue. You can't do it. You have to have the files on your iPad, and the files that you would look to edit videos with are pretty large. And most of the time, you will want to keep them on an external hard drive. So even though your iPad, you can connect external storage like an external hard drive, you can't just drag the files from your hard drive directly into the iPad timeline. You have to add the files to your iPad storage first, and then you can drop them into the timeline, which will eat up all your iPad storage space
Right.
if you have a big enough hard drive iPad storage in the first place. I have an iPad Air with an M1 that I'm eventually going to try this on, but I don't even think I got for this iPad. I don't got the beefiest storage, so trying to manage the files just to get them into the iPad timeline for Final Cut Pro is going to be a challenge for most people, especially people who record gigs and gigs and gigs and gigs of storage. Trying to get that on the iPad to edit is going to be a challenge versus on your Mac. You could just plug your hard drive in, drag and drop, and go on about your business,
So he says you can only drag files to the media selector.
which is on your
And
iPad,
yeah, and only then can you add the clips to your video.
right? To your timeline.
Yeah. And then there was one other thing that he mentioned. I'm trying to scroll through to find it. I just completely lost my train of thought on what it was.
Multitasking, trying to do other
Not
things, or like Stage
n
Manager.
it's not the multitasking, it was something else. We can talk about the multitasking. Let me see if I can find
Well,
the other
with
thing
the
he was
with the
gonna.
new iOS or iPadOS 16, they introduced the Stage Manager, which adds little windows, multitasking windows to the side of your iPad that lets you quickly swap in between Mail, Notes, Safari, whatever the case may be. It's not really that integrated Final Cut Pro. You can't split the screen, you can't resize the windows, all the things that you can do with Stage Manager with Final Cut Pro. They're having some issues with that. So being able to quickly jump between, whatever the case may be, as far as multitasking, using Final Cut Pro, you're going to have to stick with the full screen Final Cut Pro and just work in that. And then maybe, swipe up and then go to another window and then swipe up and go back versus being able to split screen, minimize the window, do all the things, the benefits that come with Stage Manager.
Yeah, and I can't find what I was looking for. It completely slipped my mind. But I will say I think in this offering of Final Cut Pro, this is for quick edits. This is for like quick hit types of thing. Maybe for people who are like content creators who are out and about doing things, but it's like
Right.
doing
Like
a
if you're on
reel
Right, if you're
or
on
something
right,
like that.
creating a reel, a quick little clip of a family vacation. Now, if you got a big project and somebody's paid you $5,000 to create this
You
video,
need to
you ain't
be
gonna
at
be
your
doing
big
that,
setup.
right? You
No.
ain't gonna be doing this on the iPad. Or hopefully, these big time creators didn't think that was going to be the case. Because that's just a tall order for anybody,
Yeah.
even Apple, to do on an iPad when you've got this workhorse that you're so used to, so accustomed to. Case in point, this guy saying, "Oh, none of the shortcuts work." I'm like, "Yeah, because the shortcuts are built for a keyboard connected to a computer versus an iPad. Typically, it's just touch. That the
Right.
interface for an iPad primarily is for touch.
Yeah.
Adding a
And most people
keyboard
don't have keyboards and mouse and a
and
mouse with their iPad.
Right, because you don't need it. And,
Right.
so adding a keyboard to your iPad is an accessory. I don't think Apple looks at a keyboard for your iPad as much as they want to claim, oh, it's productivity on the go. They really don't think that's going to completely take the place of a traditional full scale keyboard that you're accustomed to on a MacBook or a Mac. The fact that this guy thought that that was going to be the case is like, come on, man.
That makes me give him a side eye
Right.
because you when you're building something like this, you have to work towards the least common denominator. And what's going to be, your vanilla flavoring of this because again, Sure, you have power users or huge productivity users who have the trackpad, who have the keyboard, but that's not most people. Most people don't have that, and you have to build something like this with that in mind. Otherwise, what's the point?
And then most people are not, what do you call them? Heavy is not the right word I'm looking for. Final Cut Pro users in the first place. So
Mhm.
they don't even use me, for example. I use Final Cut Pro every single week, multiple times during the week, and I wouldn't even consider myself a Final Cut Pro user.
Right.
So for the fact that those few select people, that 1% who are Final Cut
Who are
Pro
power users.
users,
Yeah.
power, that's the word I was looking for, not heavy. Power users, for them to think that that full functionality was going
Experience. Yeah.
to yeah, was gonna go over to the iPad, you know, for
What world were
$5 a
you
month.
living in?
Yeah, for $5 a month, relax.
Right. I am going to get the trial though to give it a swirl just to kind of see how it works. I likely won't do the full subscription because I don't, you know, what I use it for is not what it's built for on my iPad. So I'll stick with my laptop for what I need to use it for. So yeah, but it is like I said, I think it is a good first offering. I think it will improve as time goes on, but this is a good first step, and I think Apple stuck it to the leakers for this. I think that's probably their real win.
Right.
Next up, if I can get that out of the way. Okay, perfect. WWDC is coming up in about 10 days. So we are now finally getting some details around what is going to happen at WWDC. They released some new imaging, they released some new graphics. But I think the big thing is what are we what's going to go on at WWDC? What's the keynote? Sessions, those are always good. So the WWDC kicks off on June 5th with the Apple keynote starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. Pacific time. Um, the other thing is it's a State of the Union for the platform that is coming up at around 1:30 uh, uh, Pacific time, which is 4:30 Eastern. And the other big thing is the Design Award. Apple Design Awards, that's going to take place later in the evening on that same June 5th day, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. All the winners will be announced. Um, via the Apple developer app and the website. Additionally, that's like basically the rundown for day one. And through the rest of the week, there are going to be multiple sessions that go across the full scope of software at Apple. So it'll be, according to this article, about 175 sessions. I definitely need to go and check the Apple developer app so I can start favoriting the sessions that I want to attend because I usually attend several of them because it's interesting stuff. So yeah, so that's the um basically the headlines of what we can expect. I think what people are most interested in the keynote is what is Apple going to announce. We know that WWDC is typically very software heavy, but there are some folks who are hoping for some surprise hardware stuff as well. Um, are you going to tune in for the keynote?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anything you're looking
Definitely
forward to?
no. Well, to be really, really specific, super duper specific, right? I use the iCloud shared library functionality. So
Mhm.
me and my family, we can all upload images to our shared library and we all get to see those pictures all across all our devices. Well, for daggone, maybe close to 10 years now, not carefully curated, but I have organized a lot of the pictures that I have taken for the family and put them in um, albums. They're
Mhm.
not just pictures. I put them in albums. My first kid, my oldest kid's firstborn baby pictures are in an album called Baby Pictures
Mhm.
Kid, right?
Mhm.
uh, Ballet and our wedding and our anniversaries,
Mhm.
all in these albums. The problem that I have now is when I selected to upload all those images to the shared library, they are now gone from the albums on this old computer that I have, this old Mac Mini that I have. So, in order for those pictures to show back up in the albums, because the shared library doesn't support the albums, right? So, if I go to iCloud.com or I go to my computer or my phone and look at the images that I've uploaded to the shared library, I can't then go through all those different albums that I curated over all these years into those albums. I got to look up the names. I got to go by year, whatever case, which makes it a little bit harder to find them. Well, I'm hoping to answer your question that iOS 17 will support the specific albums for the pictures that I've uploaded to the shared library. I should be able to then see all those albums on my phone and on my
Mhm.
computer, even though they're not my pictures. Like they come from my mom, they come from my wife and my kids, and this other computer that has our family um photos. So
Mhm.
specifically, I'm looking for stuff like that. But that's a
Mhm.
real specific need, a real specific use case, which I'm pretty sure most people are not looking forward to. What you're leaning, what you're leaning into, I think, is most people are going to try to find out whether or not Apple's going to do this AR VR glasses slash headset thing, which I don't really care.
And speaking of that, a lot of people are really under the impression that we are going to get an announcement about Apple glasses or Apple headset or Reality OS or whatever it's called. There are a couple of things. I think I said initially I didn't think that they were going to announce them. I thought they were going to wait until later in the year. But looking at some of the things that Apple itself has put out, it makes me wonder if that's the case. So sorry if you aren't watching the recording, but you can head on over to the Apple
YouTube,
website yourself and take a look at this graphic that I'm about to show.
or you
So,
can listen to us or watch us on YouTube because we put the
yeah,
videos on YouTube as well.
yep, you can head over to YouTube as well. Um, I'm going to, uh, yeah,
Uh-oh.
the wrong, I refreshed
Oh.
the wrong screen. Yeah. So, yeah, so let me put this on producing live on the show. Um,
If anybody wants to produce the show for free, let us know. We'll give you a job.
right.
Just
Okay.
trying to commentate, is that a word? Trying to
Yeah, that is
commit,
the word.
alright, and try to run the show at the same time, we could use some person that's solely focused on trying to show things while we talk.
Yep. So, on the Apple website, where it has all of the WWDC information, the primary graphic on the screen it says "swiftly developing," and if you know, Swift is the developer language used for Apple. And it has this image where it looks like a bird is flying. But when you refresh that screen and the way the graphic plays, it looks as if the bird flies into the shape of a headset.
I didn't
So,
see that. Do it again.
so there.
No, do it again. I don't see it. I'm gonna have to get on one of my other screens and just stare at it while it
Yes.
does it. So
Yeah.
Imma
So
do
it's
it.
one of those things that when it looks like the bird is flying, and then it has like this half second where the bird doesn't have the legs of it. If you think of a bird flying with its wings out and its legs behind them, when you refresh, the legs kind of disappear and the beak curves into a full arc where it looks like a visor type thing. So it's really very subtle, and I think they did that on purpose, but folks are going kind of bananas for it because they're saying this is indicating that this is coming. I'm still not
I
100% sold.
I don't even
Um
see what they talking about, so you can leave me out of this conversation. My creative eyeballs ain't that good.
Yeah, I definitely see it. But I'm not sure if I'm buying it yet. We'll have to see what they say. And the other thing that folks are showing that is an indicator, Apple has trademarked 5 names, but we know Apple trademarks and patents a lot of stuff. I think sometimes it throw people off its scent. I think it's stuff they're trying to keep other people from doing, even if they don't intend to do it. But there are 5 trademark names. There's a new one that was just added. They have Reality OS trademark, Real OS trademark, Reality Pro OS, and XR Pro OS and XR OS. So the XR versions of this, XR OS and XR Pro OS, are the new ones that were added, and people are saying that they think that um, this is really the kicker, that Apple has settled on the XR version of this. I mean, if you have your tinfoil hat on, sure. And maybe this is what it ultimately is. And maybe the other names they trademark were either throwing people off the scent, or maybe they just changed their mind about what they wanted to name it. So these 2 things really have a bunch of the Apple heads, really, you know, flipping their shit because it's like, "Oh my god, it's coming, it's coming." I'm not still sold on it. I still think it's going to be an end of the year type of thing, but, I could be wrong easily. But people are using these 2 things, the headset built in the bird from Swift, which Terrance can't see,
Mm-mm.
and then these 2 new names that, Apple has trademarked, in the OS game. So, eh, take it for what it is, take it for not. Put stock in it if you want to, don't put stock. I'm not putting any stock in any of this because I've been an Apple fan long enough to know they, show you what they wanna show you. They don't really tip their hand too much, and whatever they're giving it for a very specific purpose. But the, analysts, the fanboys and fangirls are really thinking that these 2 things are indicators that we are going to get a headset announcement on Monday's keynote. Mm,
I hope it doesn't come out because I don't think we as consumers have wrapped our brains fully around the use case or plural use cases that would make a headset reality, virtual reality, augmented reality enough of a consumer product. I think it's
mhm,
still kind of high level, very, very specific, maybe even commercial. But as far as consumers are concerned, I don't think we've wrapped our head around all of the capabilities yet to fork over what it's going to cost Apple to develop, produce, and ship something like this. Not yet, anyway. Like I said, eventually we'll get there. I don't think now Apple has been in the past to wait for trends to stabilize, substantialize, and then they jump in the fray with their version and it kind of kicks off stuff. I don't think we're there yet with virtual reality, augmented reality yet. So I'm hoping nothing comes out as far as these things are concerned. And I hope Apple lets this cook a little bit longer because even though earlier, in the year we've reported or we've talked about stories to where the Apple engineers want this thing to come out versus the designers are kind of like, let's let it cook a little bit
It's
more.
not ready. Yeah.
So it seems like a lot is going on internally around this product. So I'm hoping they flesh that out, which I don't think in the next couple weeks they're gonna flesh that out. Just
Yeah.
me, I, all these rumors, all this talk, maybe it will manifest itself into an
Eventually, they'll
actual
be
product.
right.
Right. And even if it comes out in WWDC, everybody's going to talk about it. In my opinion, my speculation, everybody's going to talk about it. It's going to be the talk of the town. Apple stock price is going to go up, and then nothing. It'll kind of
'Cause
fade,
yeah.
and again, there won't be enough technology behind it. I don't know. I don't know what developers for
Unless they're
games.
working, in some of the OS changes that they do for iOS, they work with certain companies
Yeah,
to
and they always bring these people up on stage to
Mhm,
introduce these games and all these.
mhm,
Nobody uses those. Come on, let's be
yeah.
honest.
So
All
that's what
those
I'm saying,
games,
unless
yeah.
they do something like that, uh, and or they already have some baked in apps to use this for that people are going to be interested in, I think people will buy it out of interest. But when you start to think about this and you think about how to move and navigate the world in these, much like we talked about with the digital wallets before, um, people just don't have the hardware to
Mhm.
support this. And the
Right.
only things you will be able to use it for are apps
Apple
that are
specific thing.
natively bit
Mhm.
built baked in to the product. So we'll see. Again, I don't think I'll stick with it. I don't think we'll get anything usable until the end of the year or even, brought up until the end of the year. Could be wrong. We'll see. When I was doing stories for today, there were a lot of articles about this reality headset. All rumors, of course, but people are play acting as if they have the inside scoop. So I saw some things with pricing, some things with what it's going to look like. So it's really ramping up the closer we get to WWDC. So, eh, it's kind of one to me. It's one of those things where take it as it is and don't put too much stock in it because I think your feelings are likely going to be hurt. All right. That is going to wrap it up for the lowdown. We're gonna head on over into second string where we talk all other tech. Um, Looking throughout the tech news today, it was pretty light, and I was like, oh, what are we gonna talk about? So, your boy DeSantis has thrown his hat into the 2024 election, and he chose to do it with your other boy, Elon Musk, on Elon's Twitter in a Twitter space. Well, as you can imagine, with these two individuals, it's always going to be not a great experience. And that seems to be what happened with good old Ron's
Well,
uh, presidential launch.
they're both of those characters are very polarizing.
Yes,
Whether you love them or you hate them, people want to
they draw the
hear
people.
or
Yeah.
right. They draw the people, and it seems like they drew too much people. So as a result, this Twitter Spaces thing, did not work.
Yeah, it was overloaded, and I think it was about 20 minutes of just, like, nothing because, people were trying to get in. And see, this is, to me, what happens when your ego is bigger than your actual skill level. Who, in their right mind, would not have the proper load balancing for, 1, a presidential announcement, a presidential launch. 2, with it being one of the most polarizing political figures that we have in this country right now, be Ron DeSantis, and 3, with one of the most maniacal people that I've ever seen, Elon Musk. I don't know how they didn't think ahead, or whatever, how many ever people they thought were going to join, why they didn't double it, just to be safe. Because what you don't want to do is be on this big stage making your announcement that you're running for president, and it basically just falls flat.
Right.
And all of the hype, or for lack of a better word, goodwill around it, was basically squandered because it was a pretty bad showing for both of these individuals and for the platform of Twitter altogether.
So to give Trump credit, which is crazy, Trump has media savvy. He may
Absolutely.
not be the smartest person. He may not be the most um, up and up person. He may just be a low down, dastardly,
Racist. Yeah.
right? All the things, right?
All
But
the
one
isms. You got
but
all of them.
one thing Donald Trump has is media savvy. And I
Absolutely.
think what Musk does not have is media savvy. What DeSantis does not have is media savvy.
They don't
So
have
what
that
they
spark, that it thing.
so what they tried to do was try to one recreate and also step up Donald Trump's hold that he had on Twitter with all the tweets and all the things he said on Twitter. So Ron DeSantis and Elon Musk is like, all right, how do we kick that up a notch? All right, we're going to announce your presidential run via Twitter, but not just only Twitter, because that's what Donald Trump, that's his lane. We're going to step it up and do it via Twitter Spaces. And then all again, the fact that Elon does not have any sort of media savviness, and the fact that all of the stuff that's going on with Twitter, not having the right people, firing all the people, not having the infrastructure, everything's holding on by a thread. And then, all the other things added up. It just was a recipe for something terrible. So hopefully, not hopefully, maybe Ron DeSantis finds what it is. Maybe banning books and banning funding for people. Maybe that's his lane,
Banning
and
black
that's
people.
maybe Elon Musk firing people and throwing darts at the wall to make some money. Maybe that works for them, but they need to stay out of the media game because it's not going to work for them.
Yeah, just stick to doing the traditional in front of a bank
Mhm,
of microphones with 10,000 American flags
mhm.
behind you in your suit, and spewing your racist, xenophobic, homophobic, all the phobics in front of some cameras, in front of, you know, thousands of your cheering fans. And just keep doing that, bud, because you can't even get a space that has 600,000 people in it to work. He ultimately had to join another space with another one of their buddies, David Sachs, to moderate the event. And they only were able to pull in 300,000 listeners. Even still, when they got into that one, um, people who had questions, they couldn't unmute. So it was still, even when they actually started the space and actually got him in the space to make his little announcement, people who wanted to ask him questions couldn't even do that. And it's one of those things where in this particular article from The Verge, they say that BuzzFeed had a Facebook Live with 800,000 people that have didn't have any problems. Travis Scott had 12.3 million people in Fortnite without any issues. And these folks over in this Twitter space couldn't even get half of the people from the lowest amount of people who had done spaces that they mentioned into a live successfully. So um, stick with what you know, uh, because trying to one up somebody who eats, sleeps, and lives this media savviness, it doesn't work out for you. I will say I am looking forward to all of the wacky names that Trump um, comes up for this guy. I think that's gonna be pretty funny and entertaining.
Yep.
All right. Next up, I saw this article and I was like, I don't use this particular brand. I do use a VPN, but not this specific one. But there is a free VPN out there that people are using. And it's been accused of leaking over 360 million user data records online, and the VPN service is SuperVPN. And the breach includes sensitive data, sensitive information, email addresses, original IP addresses, which is the whole point of a VPN, is to mask your IP address, your geolocation records, your unique identifiers, references to websites you visited, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Um, so yeah, I think it's one of those things where you get what you pay for. I use a VPN, but I pay for it. So using a free VPN, um, go into that knowing that there could be some issues with your data privacy. But I think the sheer number of records, almost coming up on a half a million, records were leaked and with sensitive information. It's pretty staggering, um, that this, happened.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And like you mentioned, people, the whole purpose of getting a VPN is to mask your identity for all your identity and then some to be leaked. It's kind of a slap in the face, but like you mentioned, get what you pay for. Trying to use free stuff, trying to use open source stuff, trying to use stuff you just found on the internet without any sort of reputable background history resources. Maybe even stuff you pay for. You got to be a little bit more vigilant, outside of just picking something because that's what you seen on the internet and it's free. Like the story mentions, it should be a wake up call to anybody trying to you know, um, secure your data on the low.
Mhm.
Anything that's you. How's that phrase go? You get like I just say you get what you pay for because there's another phrase I can't think of the name of it, but
Mm.
you get free, you get everything that comes along with free.
Right. And if you're that concerned about your identity or your privacy, pay the couple bucks because these VPN services aren't super expensive. You know, pay for the service. You can do that. You can do that, especially when it comes to securing your identity and some of your transactions that you may take.
Right, and I
Uh,
think the reason why this thing was free is because this company, Super VPN, in their clause for you to sign up said, we reserve the right to log your data and sell it to third parties, for like marketing and things like that. So they can sell it to marketers, they kind of get your general location, recent websites, and then use that to market products to you through the VPN, which is how it's free. Nobody's just, I'm pretty sure
Ain't
Super
nothing free.
VPN, right? They ain't just giving you free VPN out the kindness of their hearts. They are
Right.
getting something in return, and probably what they're getting in return is to collect your data and then leverage that to make a profit. I'm pretty
Yep.
sure in the process of them trying to leverage that to make a profit, somebody got a hold of it because they had it and
Mhm.
was able to leak it versus maybe some other VPN services that charge you, X amount of dollars a month. The trade off is I'm paying you money
Mhm.
to protect my data versus, I'm using your service hopefully for free in the hopes
And
that you'll be
hopefully it's safe.
right and hopefully it's safe. I'm giving
Yeah.
you money for the sole purpose of using this and that it'll be protected. So you really don't need to collect it. So
Yeah.
that's one of the tips in the story is be sure that you read the terms of service, especially for a VPN, and make sure you sign up for a no log VPN so the provider can't collect and sell your information because they don't have it because they don't collect it.
Yep. 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 All right. Last up, I thought this was a neat little story. as many of you know, I bought a Nintendo Switch during the start of the pandemic, and Sony has revealed they have a new handheld streaming device called Project Q. So if you are a gamer and you are a huge Sony user, it looks as if there is a new portable device on the market. It looks like they had a previous handheld device, PlayStation Vita. This is not it.
Mhm,
This is a new device. It'll have an 8-inch LCD screen, max resolution of 1080p. It'll also have the same features of the DualSense wireless controller, which means, haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Um, yeah, so that's like the latest thing. It'll require high speed Wi-Fi connection. Um, yeah. So it's a new gaming thing. I think you are a Xbox user, Terrence?
I am, not for very long, like we talked about in the pre-show. I'm pretty busy nowadays running kids around and all these activities, so, I haven't turned on my Xbox in at least a month or 2. So, I may just, put up my quote unquote "gamer," hat, but, um, if Xbox had a more mobile version of their platform to where while I'm at some of these activities, I could get some gaming in or whatever the case may be in a more mobile version, not just my phone, because my
Mhm.
phone, you don't get all the functionality, you
Right.
don't get all the controls of actually holding a controller, right? But if I had some time to kill in between all the things that I'm doing, I could definitely see entertaining something like this, PlayStation, what is it? Project
Q. Mhm.
Q is what you call it,
Yep.
to where all I need is a fast internet connection, and then I can play some games on the go. In addition to, I might add, even though I do have an Xbox, some of the games that I've played are, exclusive to Sony.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Specifically, like um, Metal Gear is a popular game that I've played. That's exclusive to Sony, not on Xbox. Gran Turismo is a game that's specific to Sony. There was another God of War. Is all these games that I've just named? I kind of grew up on some of these games.
Mhm.
Now that I have an Xbox, I can't play them, right? But now that I'm not gaming as much, but I may need something to play on the go, I could definitely entertain this because Nintendo Switch, it's cool, but it's not. Nintendo doesn't have the type of games that I would want to play, right?
And it
Sony
gives to me it's not a hardcore gamer device. It's
Switch
for
is
some of
not.
us. Yeah, it's for
Yeah.
us who kinda just wanna, like, piddle around and play Mario Kart.
Now they've got some nice games. Zelda is a popular title on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, and I think
What's
they just released a new Kingdom of Tears of Kingdom or something for
right?
Zelda that's supposed to be pretty good.
There's another one that people play and they build like little cities. I can't think of the name of it though. Anyway,
Yeah.
like you said, Nintendo Switch is more of a retail. I call them retail gamers versus your
Mhm.
pro gamers are going to need something a little bit more
Beefier.
involved, right?
Yeah.
Beefier. So this Project Q might just be it to where so much so that if it's pretty decent and I've got some time to kill, I may pick it up and just put my Xbox away because again, I ain't got the time to dedicate to actually sit down
People
and
got
set.
you outside.
Right, right. I'm outside on the move. I don't have time to sit down and, dedicate, have my space and have, gamers, you got your whole setup. You got to get your gaming
Headset,
chair, and you got the
chair,
headset, and you got
snacks.
your snacks. Yeah, you got all these things set up before you actually get on. I ain't got that time no more. But if I, have something I can throw in my backpack or my bag while I'm sitting around out for an
Mhm.
hour or two while I'm waiting on kids to get done with activities, this may be something I may have to check out.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about pricing, but, Google is out there, PlayStation app is out there. If you're into it, check out it. The heads the device itself looks pretty cool because I know if you have the switch, it's pretty much very flat, but it looks
Mhm.
like you can grip.
You got a grip, yeah,
You
because
have a grip on this
mhm.
that gives you the feel of a PlayStation controller, which is
Right,
kind of cool.
right.
Cool. That is going to wrap up second string. We're going to head on over into for the culture, where we talk about pretty much anything we want to. Sometimes it's socially conscious and relevant. Sometimes it's something funny that we've seen on Twitter or TikTok. This week, it's a little bit of controversy over on the Black Twitters. So I first saw this, of course, on Twitter. Um, a Black dentist posted I guess I can pull it up, posted a sign in her practice.
Oh, it's a
Um,
lady, huh?
yep.
Okay.
And she posted it up into
Oh, so the
her
person who
office.
posted it doesn't own the dentist's office. She just is a client of the dentist's office,
Right.
and she
She
took a
was in
picture.
and she took a
Right.
picture of it and posted
Okay.
it.
So is the
So
doctor is the dentist, is he a brother or is it a black lady or what? Well, I'm trying to figure out the
I
background
believe
of
it's
this.
I believe it's a black lady.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let me pull up the sign again. Folks, people, we are multitasking and producing and running the show at the same time. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. So this is the sign. This lady posted at my dentist's office. This was the first thing I noticed. And this particular you just said she definitely jumped for joy, and the sign says, "No bonnets, no house shoes, no pajama bottoms. We will be happy to reschedule your appointment per Dr. Sutton." So
Mhm.
Dr. Sutton does not see it for people coming into her dentist office with your bonnet, slippers, or pajamas on. And man, did this spark a conversation. And it really went in a direction that I wasn't expecting it to. I thought it was going to be, similar to the Monique, don't wear bonnets in the airport. I thought it
Mhm.
was going to go that route. But in the comments, in the reposts, a lot of people who had issues with this,
Mhm.
they took it to the point of saying, they brought in classism, they brought in respectability politics because saying if
Mhm.
people are sick, they're just trying to get to the doctor. They may not have time to,
To the
you know,
dentist.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
they just put it in general, to any dentist office. If someone is, and I mean, to any doctor's appointment, if someone is ill or something is going on with their body and they need to see their doctor, there may be times that people, don't have the capacity or the ability to, to be quote unquote respectable. Then it also went on the tangent of people saying, um, you can't win, you can't lose because they brought up this one lady who I think it was fake. She posted about going to volunteer at a food bank and the people that came looked too nice. So she was like, she wasn't going to help volunteer there anymore. And then it kind of went all the way back to Jim Crow in the 50s where Black people dressed up to go to their doctor's appointments because they thought that they would get better treatment if they looked better, especially when they're Black. So this comment thread for this particular post was really, really all over the place. So I don't know when you go to the any of the doctor, whether it be dentist, eye doctor, medical, whatever the case may be, do you make a conscious effort to look a certain way when you go to the doctor's office?
I don't make a conscious effort to look a certain way. Um, Yeah, I put on clothes when I leave the house. I don't put that much thought in it at all. If it's raining, I have a jacket or some pants. If it's hot, I wear, a t-shirt and, some lighter clothes. And that's the pretty much the extent to which my thought process goes into what I wear and where I go. Right now, of course, I'm a guy. You know, our, you know,
Well,
our
dudes have do-rags,
attire.
so you can
Oh,
have like a
yeah, I
do-rag.
guess they do. I don't wear one. So yeah, I suppose. But in general, no. I don't have make a I don't I'm to answer your question, I'm not necessarily concerned about am I dressed for the part when I go to places like a dentist or doctor, physician, whatever the case may be. you know, uh, pick my attire based on the weather.
Mhm,
Of course, there are some places where I would go to where I would dress up, at an event, whatever the case may be. But in general, I don't put a lot of thought into it.
mhm.
But at the same time, I don't uh, purposely, you know, dress down if it's not if I don't deem it important.
Mhm,
I think the argument here in one sense is I'm not going to an event, I'm not going to my job, I'm not going to pick up my kids at school. Why should you care how I'm dressed if all I'm doing is getting a physical exam or somebody's looking at my teeth, right? Why
mhm.
does it matter, right? I think that's one of the arguments that people are having. Like you mentioned, this thing is all over the place. I look quick scan of course, Twitter, and they've showed a picture of the supposed dentist. It's a black lady. Um, and they also pose pictures of the dentist's office, which
Mhm.
looks like a regular residential home. So another thing there, the argument is, well, this doesn't appear to be a professional
High end.
environment, right?
Yeah.
So why do they have these specifics as to, what you can and can't wear at the office when, somebody said and I quote, her
Mm.
establishment is literally in the hood in a trap house turned dentist office. Maybe she should relocate to a demographic she prefers instead, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Um, my take, um, I don't know. I can see both ways,
Mhm.
but ultimately, it's a private practice, and I guess this dentist can put whatever rules she wants, and it's up to the clients to play the
Choose to
game,
patronize her store, her
patronize her
office or
store
not.
or
Yeah.
office or not. You know, um, it'd be different. I think if this was a you could make the case that she should not have these restrictions if it were more of a commercial slash retail environment, like a restaurant, like a
Mhm,
nightclub, like a grocery store, whatever the case may be.
mhm.
This is her private practice. She ultimately gets to choose the type of clientele she wants. And I'm guessing these are no bonnets, no house shoes, no pajama bottoms. These are her client requirements, and I guess you deal with it or not. I really don't have a any other way. Is this respectability politics? I don't know. It could be. I guess you could consider this because the no bonnets, no house shoes, specifically the bonnets thing. That seems like a very targeted, thing to black women
Demographic. Yeah.
right, to black women, and we black women have been for the most part judged and treated, discriminated against based on how they look professionally, specifically their hair, so you could make that case. But ultimately, you know, Um, I don't necessarily have an opinion. It is what it is, I guess. She's has every right to put whatever restrictions she want, and people got whatever right to chew her up for it, I guess.
Yeah, because they are chewing Miss Mama's up. They are the thing around it is they're saying that these requirements that she has are anti-black, and basically you're canceling someone's appointment for the way that they look, and
Right.
you're in a urban lower income area. So people who make appointments, they likely had to move quite a few things around to be
Mhm.
able to make it to their appointment, likely in the middle of the day because that's when, the office hours are. Um, I don't know. I think I can see it, I guess, both ways. I do think this to me is unnecessary. Um, because I was watching a video and they had the teachers came to school dressed as the kids.
Right.
And literally every teacher came in with a bonnet on, a
Mhm.
head wrap, they had pajama bottoms on, and they had some sort of house shoes on, not
Mhm.
traditional like sneakers or, a full shoe. It was very much comfortable. Some teachers were like wrapped up in blankets and they were like, these are literally how these children come to school.
Right.
Multiple hoodies on, sagging uh pajama pants
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
so this is how the people are out there walking around.
Right.
And my thing
Uh,
is, when you're in school, you came to school dressed because that was your event. Where else you gonna wear clothes to, except for on the weekends, that type of thing. So if they're doing it in the schools, likely, and we've seen it, people are doing it as well, going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, going to get their nails done, their hair done, those types of things.
mhm. With the school thing, I think it's trendy. I think that's what the kids are just into nowadays. The pajamas, the covers, the thing. I don't know if that's a comfortability thing. Like I want to go to school and I want to be comfortable because I'm trying to learn. One,
Mhm.
you ain't trying that hard to learn. Let's just keep it 100.
At all.
And number
Not when
two,
you
it's just
fighting teachers on phones.
right. I think it's a trendy thing, as far as the schools are concerned. Again, she, in my opinion, would have a better case if she was in a more professional area location, could make this argument, not
Mhm.
make argument, have these restrictions. Like, if she's in this high class luxury high rise with
Building,
the with
yeah.
the with the the high end speakeasy in the back and the
If
the
she's
expensive.
presenting the image
Right.
of what she wants
Right,
people
then
to look
then
like, she's
then
not
I
setting the
could.
scene for it.
Right, right, right. But again,
It's
it's a
her.
private practice. It's not a
Yeah.
school. School is public, right? Going to an airport, that's a public airport. The whole bonnet thing with what's her name?
Monique.
Monique, made that whole thing about the airport. That's a public place.
Mhm.
School is a public place. To the grocery store is a public place. Her private practice is just that, a private practice. So you could make the argument that she doesn't have to abide by the same guidelines or what you're used to when you're just out and about because it's her private practice.
Right.
So, she has every right to do it. Again, it
She has
seems
the
it seems kind of a stretch, it seems kind of unnecessary, but I mean, that's why that's see people are so hypocritical, right?
Mhm.
The whole point of being an entrepreneur and leaving the corporate world and starting your own business is because it's my bit. Ain't nobody
I
gonna
can
tell
make
me
my
what to
own
do.
rules.
I can
Yeah.
make my own rules. I can set my own hours. I can dress the way I want to dress. And then here she go doing it. And we're like, girl, you stupid for doing that, right? So it's like, well, which one is it? I mean,
Yeah.
she started a private practice so she could set her own rules, set her own requirements. So it's like, this is
Yeah.
kind of whack, But at the same time, what it is what
It's
it
still
is.
her right, yeah. She definitely is well within her rights to set this, and she's definitely, whatever blowback that she gets or has gotten,
Mhm. She had to deal
that
with
is
it.
that's par for the course that
Yep.
comes, with the territory, because a
Mhm.
lot of times, it's like, "Well, we don't support Black businesses." And then, these types of things happen and people feel slighted or they feel away about it. And then if this is in an urban community, how likely is it that there are multiple doctor's offices that serve this community? So it's like, now, if you choose to leave and go somewhere else, now that's like an additional stress on you as well. So it's one of those
Mhm.
things where, you gotta find the hill you wanna die on,
Right,
and,
right.
and take it from there.
Yep, yep, and I guess she's willing to die on it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you let her, I mean, it
You
is what it is,
support you patronize her business or you don't.
you know?
Yeah. So, yeah. Alright, that is going to, wrap up for the culture. We're gonna head on over to the hookup.
I yeah, kinda sorta got a hookup. I've been having internet problems in the house, and I have one of
Mhm,
those mesh, Wi-Fi systems to where
mhm,
you plug one of the nodes up to your internet connection. You connect it to the ISP's router or whatever you have, and
mhm.
then that node talks to the other nodes that you place around the house to provide full whole home Wi-Fi coverage. Well, I've been having some problems, and I've been trying to rearrange or reposition my nodes in the places because my problem is um, my devices that connect to Wi-Fi seem to be switching and can't choose which node they want to connect to, which kind of forces them offline. So I repeatedly have to go around and make sure the cameras are connected, make sure the lock is connected, make sure the lights are connected because they're having a tough time because I think I don't have my nodes placed in the right place. So I did a little
Mm,
research and just wanted to my hookup for this week basically is, make sure when you use a mesh Wi-Fi system, you do want to make sure that they are placed strategically in the home. And you also, this is a real tip, you want to make sure that they're not placed too far away from the quote unquote main node that is actually hardwired to your router. So the rule of thumb is you don't want them no farther than 30 feet away from each other. And specifically, like generalize, not specifically, but to generalize that, you want to make sure they're no farther than 2 rooms apart. So if you have like a long home, like a ranch style home, you want to make sure that the nodes are no farther apart than like 2 or 3 rooms, which averages out to about 30 feet. If you can do that, and then in addition to make sure the main node that's connected to the router is positioned generally in the center of the home, you can ensure using those mesh networks, you'll get a even Wi-Fi connectivity throughout the house. So that's my tip for the week. If you are using a mesh router system that connects to each other to provide whole house Wi-Fi, you want to make sure the main router is connected, hardwired to the router, and is centrally located, and each other node is no more than 2 rooms or 30 feet apart.
cool. That is our tech tip of the week. And with that, that wraps up the show for this week. Definitely thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me all over the internets at Brother Tech. That's BrothaTech.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva all over the web as well. Again, if you want to connect, comment, share, or support our show, you can head on over to snobblewestcast.com and get all of the details. That's going to wrap it up this week. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Peace.
Thanks, everybody.